need to explain my philosophy on the world, okay, and why this is extremely important and why this matters. Okay, so my main message is longevity. Okay, everyone needs to stop coping in this weird paradigm that you're okay with death. Okay, humans are very good at deluding themselves about things like this, right? You can imagine that you don't care about death, that you're fine, I only want to live to 75. But really, that is a ludicrous concept. Okay? Nobody wants to die right now. So, a thought experiment to fix this is people imagine that there'll be some completely different person when they're 75 and suddenly they'll want to die. So, when people say, okay, I don't care about longevity, right? I don't care about my long-term health. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? Then what they need to do is go into this thought experiment and imagine they're going to die tomorrow. Okay? You would do anything to reverse that. You would literally do anything. Okay? Someone could offer you $100 billion or, but you die in a week, or you get to live for, 2 years. Every single person would pick the 2 years. There is absolutely nothing more important than time. You can't get it back. The only way to get more time is to slow your pace of aging. Okay? So for these people that are like, oh, I'll be fine, I'll want to die when I'm 75. Really? Really? Because most people, your grandpa probably doesn't want to die. Most old people probably don't want to die. Okay? Especially if you're able to maintain good health and be in, sound judgment. Okay? So it's really quite ridiculous. If the argument hinges on that your health will have deteriorated to a certain point to where living would no longer be beneficial for you or would no longer be enjoyable, then the solution to that is not to die. The solution to that is to preserve your health span, to preserve your functionality, your cognitive ability. It's not to die. It's ridiculous. Okay, so why do you think I built Telomere, this person? Most people are not going to be able to change themselves. They're not going to be able to commit to a certain lifestyle to fix this by themselves. Okay, they can't do it. Most people can't do it. The world is too far gone. It's too fucked. Okay, you have, all of these fast food chains that are trying to kill you. Okay, you have literally almost every institution with giving barely any regard to your longevity or your health. Okay, you have, hearing damage constantly, terrible air quality, carcinogens in like every cooking ware, rampant drug use. Okay, so I understand that most people can't do it. All right, so that is why I am going so hard. Okay, that is why I am blasting anabolics. Okay, that is why I am bone blanking. All right, that is the reason. Okay, that's why. Okay, that's why. Okay, because I'll do it for you. And I am the only one who possibly can. Okay, so all of these people that you see, the celebrities, the people on your social media, they're not the real heroes. I'm the real hero. Okay? I am not a villain. I might play into that as a character, okay? But I am trying to live. I need to live, okay? And I'm trying to save you guys. So when I get hate comments and people who don't understand the message, people who don't understand longevity, people who think it's stupid, don't even regard it, okay? You need me. You need me to save you. You do. Because I am the only one who possibly can. Okay? So, that's my philosophy. All right? That's why I'm doing this. That's why I dropped out of a very prestigious college. All right? That's why I spent $35K, on a business launch. All right? That is why I go to bed at 10 p.m. every single day. All right. I never miss a meal. I never have a cheat meal. I never eat unhealthy. You know, I'm, like I said, going as far as I possibly can. Looks max, all of this, it's a means to an end. It's not the means itself. Okay? The end is living. The means, things I'm talking about. Okay, so for people who are able to have some agency in their lives, people who you might be potentially a little bit neurodivergent, you're able to see something differently. Maybe you have a high degree of autonomy. Maybe you're a bit disagreeable and you don't really like following the status quo. You think that the things that most people are doing are like quite stupid, or irrational, right? Any of those kinds of things, then I implore you to help me, okay? Because I can't do this alone. There's no way. There's no way to do it alone. We have literally almost the entire world and the entire capitalistic system built to destroy this, like to kill you, basically, to kill you. Okay? And I feel like maybe Brian Johnson could be one person. Other than that, I feel like I'm seeing a like insane world, like completely like ludicrous, really ridiculous. And I've had to form mental models around this central conclusion of don't die, that you don't want to die, that you want to live, that you want your existence to continue. Okay, so every single being, every single form of life is trying to do one thing above all else, and that is surviving. Okay, so being in this insane paradigm, in this place in the world where people can't see that, all right, for the few people who can, the few people who can change, there's a few things to do. Okay, the first thing is, if you want to, help this cause, the first thing is go to sleep at the same time every single day, no matter what. Second thing is lower your resting heart rate before bed. So those two things are going to put you into the top percentiles of longevity if you do those things properly. Okay. So that way you're practicing what you're preaching, right? After that, looks max, gain a following, do anything you can, write to politicians. If it's AI, that's the main thing that's probably gonna kill us with like highest likelihood. Write to politicians, petition, do anything you can to, for that example, move from general intelligence to narrow AI, right? So that we, like China, so that what China is doing, basically going slower and safer so that we don't all die. Okay. Anything that you can think of to inch the probabilities forward, right? If we have 50% chance of mass extinction from superintelligence, AGI, all right, try if you can move it 0.001, and that's, you had to try with all you have, like literally every single fiber of your being, to inch that probability just ever slightly over, slow it down, to do anything, then you have to do it. Okay, you have to do it, because you just can't die, so that's all I wanted to say. You guys could use that as some motivation to lock in, or just if you were curious, like how I see things, because this is gonna also be as like a little bit of a time capsule if people need some insight into where I'm at, where I'm thinking, right? This is me documenting my life, my story, my experiences, as trying to be logical in a fucked up world. Okay, so that's all I had today, and catch you guys later.